Okay.
No,
I'll put it there.
We are preparing to live stream, but sometimes it says that and we are already live streaming because YouTube is a mess. Hi, YouTube.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so let me pause my YouTube so I can see the chat over there. There we go. Now I can see YouTube chat as well when I couldn't earlier. So very good, very good. All right.
Okay. Can you share on ours too?
I think it's
easier if I do it here.
Yeah, because of the link.
Changing the screen.
Click to remind. Never mind.
Gallery view. There we go. Now we're getting ready. We're just posting for a few moments to let people know where we are.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm live with Lightworkers613. You can find them at lightworkers613.com and patreon.com/lightworkers613. You have been seeing a good bit of my work with these channels lately because I love it so much and I just can't stop. I am like a Lightworkers613 fanatical fan.
Such as we are of yours. It's like every time that we go live, even if you're not with us, we talk about you all the time. People must go like, why?
Yeah. It's a big family. Like my Patreon, we're all like, all of our patrons are almost the same now. Like subscribes to you, subscribes to me, and it's just become this big family. So.
Yeah. I kind of love it. Me too. So yeah, we had a plan for today, but as things go, there's no plan anymore, which I kind of like too. So
yeah, we had this topic and everything. We were so organized for 24 hours. We're like,
yes, let's do this.
We're on fire about it, and like natural channels do, it went bye-bye.
It's like, nope, we're not doing this. So at least we have the beings that we said that we would, right? Because I have Mary Magdalene just been walking around the whole day with me, looking fabulous.
Yes, and I have an am and feel always the essence of Lilith. Channeling completely changed for me after realization. It just felt like I can't even say or think or feel any external anything anymore. Like suddenly I recognize the divinity of that being as a portion of myself creatively exerting. I know you know what I mean.
Yeah, sometimes if I kind of forget that, they show it to me. So I was just finishing my makeup and Mary Magdalene just came behind me, and then I took like a deep breath, and when I opened my eyes, it's like I could see her in the mirror. I'm like, okay, I got it. So
I got it. There's nothing external anymore in channeling people. It's always a portion of us. There's something that, speaking of channeling, this is all going to sound like a contradiction, because as I really started connecting to the allegedly external version of Ram Dass recently, across this earth, he came to me, and I didn't even know who he was. I'm just now learning who Ram Dass is as a personality essence, right? But he came to me and he felt like a combination of Ra and Krishnamurti, and what's the other one? He calls him Maharishi, his master, which is otherwise known as Neem Karoli Baba. So I felt all of these essences merging together in this one, no longer personality, but big, full, complete, being. And he states, about that, about this allegedly external thing. He said, America doesn't do well with the concept of God in a body. It's one of the things he told me. He said, so you can tell people that we are one and that we're all a part of each other, but America, it doesn't sell well, he said. It doesn't do well in spiritual communities with God being in a body. So when oneness, it just doesn't go well. People don't get it right away.
Yeah.
It's just one of the things he said that I thought was
and I think that that's why sometimes we even call them other beings, like, oh, we are channeling Lilith and Mary Magdalene, or we are channeling this or that, because it gets easier for people to comprehend in all levels of awareness.
Yeah, and I told this to our Patreon crowd, but YouTube, I'm a little ill today. I'm quite frankly quite ill with my coughing. So it's just something I go through this time of the year. So I'll be muting myself a lot.
Yeah, my nose is running too, so sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sneezing right now. I was gonna say,
which is great.
I've been sneezing for 2 days now, and it's not now, but if I do, don't be scared. It's just me sneezing. It's very
I'll try to
weird.
mute in time.
Yeah. Anyways, okay.
Someone wants you to spell Ramdas.
Ramdas. Ramdass. Right?
Yeah, I'm going to be channeling Ram Dass and Timothy Leary. They're both coming to me together. And they've been doing that since a couple of days after his passing, after Ram Dass's passing of this planet. And
Mhm.
we'll be channeling them live together on January the 11th. Yes. That's a Saturday for me. I never channel on a Saturday, but he told me he wanted to do it on January the 11th.
That's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
It's
At
I
11.
like it.
at 11 a.m. Mountain.
Yes, not 1. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Ariel. Sometimes we forget how sensitive our microphone is, and they're saying that it was making a weird sound. I'm sorry. It's because I was putting my mug here all the time. We're not going to do that anymore. Because every time we forget, because we can't hear us. So whenever we are like doing something with you and the other is listening, I'm like, oh my God, this sound is driving me crazy. So sorry about that. Let us know if it comes back, please.
Yeah. So let's start with this first question here. That I think it's a good introduction for them. It's the question is asking if Lilith and Mary Magdalene are the same being, disregarding the concept of oneness. Like,
now you lost me in that. Last statement.
Hard time comprehending questions that kind of have are saying one thing and then another. We get confused. Yeah. But what Lilith is saying to me is that there is no aside from, because there is nothing to be aside of. There is no other. Mm-hmm. However, in creative form, you have made that dream incredibly real enough to be God in a body. And believe me, it is quite real for you. And it is as real as me being able to see and feel and hear and touch you. And in your levels of expansion within your densities, in your awakening experiences, you start out with that you can relate. And you can relate to separation. Therefore, I project myself as a personality essence, and it's relatable, it's understandable, it's doable in your world, in your minds. And when you begin to perceive oneness effectively to the level that senses aren't involved, in which case it can no longer be a misperception, then you will feel an essence, but you will not perceive in the same way at all. You cannot perceive outside of yourself. And she's giving me this image of looking into a mirror and seeing another being. And then she's giving me another image right now of me looking out of my eyes and not being able to see out at all. It's as if my eyeballs just turned in. Like I can't see outward. When I try, the only thing I can see is me. And I can see all of the mastery and all of the completion from various dreams, but I am also aware that I am perceiving something that I once thought as separate, that I once assumed was a personality essence. But you perceive essence even more effectively and clearly at that point.
So interesting when you say that with the looking, like trying to open your eyes and trying to see something else. That's been happening to me in between that dream state when you're still awake. And if I feel like I cannot open my eyes and I cannot see anything, but it doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel like something is closing. And now when you said that, it just clicked. It's like, oh, it's because I'm not supposed to look outside. It's just like you're seeing yourself. So interesting.
So it is in the dream, what she labels this is fractals of personality essence, because that is what you can relate to. So you have fractals of personality essence until you perceive them it's like a diorama. It's like a kaleidoscope. You recognize that the glass in the kaleidoscope is all one glass, but when the light comes through it, it's very refractory. And as you turn the lens of creativity, when you're looking in your kaleidoscope and you turn the little thing, and you see light coming in, and you can turn this way, and the same thing that you thought you saw this way is different this way. That's what light does scientifically. And in this metaphor, this is what perception is. So you are perceiving, because that's what relates to you. So you're perceiving Mary Magdalene essence for a certain part of you that helps you master compassion. You're perceiving Lilith essence for a certain part of you that helps you master empowerment. So when you get that, then you begin to see how they work together. And then you see those puzzle pieces, you know, and all those. Lilith is more like one of those 5,000 piece jigsaw puzzles that as a kid, your parents used to be like, Merry Christmas. And you're like, oh God, really? Couldn't I've gotten a stuffed animal? She's a little bit like that, you know, and especially when you dump out the pieces and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be sitting here forever. She's a little bit like that.
Yep.
However, you start to put the pieces together. And when you start to relate, you see the part of the 5,000 piece fractals of God's that are you, and you might see a nose, and then you might see a mouth, and then you might start putting together a face, and then you realize, oh my gosh, this whole puzzle is complete. It's just pieces of the same thing. And that's what channeling is, she says. She says you are connecting to pieces of the same thing until you begin to see them as the same thing. So Annie and I can no longer see them as separate, but we definitely feel them pull through the personality essences in order to help you when you do perceive them as separate. Is this making sense, guys?
Yeah.
I know it's a complicated subject material.
Yeah. It's interesting because during our last channeling of Hillel and Yeshua, I saw this, you know, those houses, mirror houses that you go and there's mirrors everywhere. And there's this one that is 4 mirrors, and you're in, me in the case is in the middle, and then every image, it's like an aspect or an essence or a being or whatever, and it's all you because you are the only one in front of the mirror.
I think what you're trying to say is it called the House of Mirrors?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
like
then
circuses.
it's infinite. Yeah.
And everywhere you look, you'll see thousands and thousands of you. Yeah, exactly.
But you perceive each mirror as being a different personality, which is why, Flavia's talking about the metaphor with the House of Mirrors. As a child, I loved those things, by the way. No matter what I looked at, like spirit beings would play with me and they would jump through the mirrors and be like, ha, ha, hi. And at first it would freak me out. And so they were playing, but I could look through, and what would be most people's like horror film with the House of Mirrors was I would go in because I knew anything was going to jump through mirrors and play with me.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I would get lost in there, and my mom would tell my dad, and Dad's like, what is she doing? Why is she not coming out? And Mom's like, oh yeah, she's
just leave her.
Just playing with her friends.
That's cool. Yeah. So basically, yes, they are the same being.
Summarizing the answer.
Mary Magdalene style.
Next question is, what is a good way to process / respond to a perceived trigger, such as a judgment of others? She completes that this happened recently when someone asked me a question about my feelings or thoughts on the transgender community.
So, Lilith is stating that there's a way to view judgment as negative, as taught in some of your teachings and communities. And there is a way to perceive judgment as positive, constructive, and progressive. She doesn't view judgment as harmful, except when you are not progressing into love and with compassion. So that is how you can tell if your judgment is progressive or regressive. So when you are regressing in judgment, you are basically making an evidential statement within yourself and then projecting that thought and feeling outwards with words, with actions. That is regressive. And it's regressive within you, even if you don't begin to project it out into the karma of speech and action. It basically implodes and causes dis-ease and many conditions of dis-ease that are there to catch your attention. And then just being aware that you are doing that, just being aware that you are thinking this and then feeling it and then saying it and then doing it, being aware of the various stages of regressive judgment projections. That's all that it takes. That's all that it takes, being aware. You don't need to know why you're doing it. You just need to know that you're doing it and that you'd like to choose something that's more progressive. When you are choosing how to switch from regressive judgment to creative, progressive judgment, you can then call judgment discernment, which is a deep wisdom and is incredibly helpful and gives you the power of sovereignty in your creative choices. You judge that you wish not to be around someone who's gossiping. You judge that you are beginning to feel powerless. You are beginning to regressively judge that person for gossiping. Therefore, you make a progressive decision to release yourself from their presence in that moment. Therefore, judgment has simply been turned around for you and is working for you and is now loving for you. Simply recognize how to turn regressive judgment into progressive judgment for ultimate God-mind discernment. Do this within your awareness and then choosing again. How do you choose again? If it feels bad, stop feeling that. If it feels bad, stop thinking the thoughts that cause you to feel that. She gives me that same analogy that she gives a lot in the judgment detox classes that I have on Patreon. She gives me this analogy of the patient going to the doctor saying, "Doctor, my arm hurts when I lift it like this." And the doctor says, "Well, don't lift your arm like that."
Yep. Miriam was reminding me of something that she told me once in a session, that every time you think about something as separate at all, like if you call this color black, you're judging the color. If you call my hair red, you're judging my hair. If you call someone, the immediate time that you just see something and you label it as anything at all, that's a judgment. And that's being human in a way, because we decided embodying in quote unquote different bodies so we could experience this throughout so many gateways and so many points of view, because that's what God does. God loves to create. So every time that you look at something, if you call it man or woman, if you call it black or white or dark or light or whatever, you are giving meaning. So every time that you give meaning to something, you're doing the human thing that is giving such meaning, so you're judging anyways. So what if we just stop, like Lilith was saying, stop perceiving things as just being that bad, like being negative. So if you change that perspective, you can simply fully accept that that's perhaps a part of you and your experience right now. So that's what Mary was talking about, the trigger. What if the trigger is there to serve you for something, for being aware of that? Because once you become aware, everything that Lilith said falls into place. So maybe that's why the trigger is there for you. So it can just give you that option, or just show you that you always have the option into choosing between what is loving to you and what is not. That's what she said.
Mm-hmm. What is loving and what isn't, and what is compassionate and what isn't. It's kind of the same theory.
Yeah. Towards you or others, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. And I just think about how I feel. I tend to observe how I feel when I'm using judgment as a means of a barometer. I use my feelings as a compass, to let me know as a channel whether or not I am in judgment. I'm so much out of judgment these days that I can't even do sarcasm. Like literally, I have my sense of humor. I really wish it. I kind of miss it.
Yeah.
Oh God.
What's happening
with
you?
This is distracting me.
Okay.
Next question is, Wendy says, This might sound silly. This may sound silly, but what is the method to send light and love to someone who needs your prayers? I find myself kind of lost after I stopped saying prayers for another the Catholic way. Catholic.
That'll do it, right?
Right?
That's what Lilith said. She goes, oh, and then there it is. She's the whole time while you're reading the question, I was going to get for it. She's like, no, wait for it. It's going to be religion. Wait for it.
Wait. Yes. Where's the trigger? There it is.
That'll do it. Okay. So Lilith, the thing is that when you evidence how you think and feel based upon a deep condition, such as a religion or a political structure, or something that made you feel in power under, you then begin to naturally attempt to change in your egoic state power under to power over. And she shows me a wheel spinning. Your mind wants to be in power over, so it takes all those evidential memories and beliefs that were created from a destructive religion, and it says, in order for me to be in power over, I'm going to turn this wheel around, and I am the being in power over now. Therefore, I will avoid connection. Which, by the way, puts you back in a disconnect space, at least in your thought process. And you are then believing and perceiving that you are in power under, and then the whole thing starts all over again. So what about prayer before you begin to feel in your state of power under? What about prayer made you feel connected? And before someone started telling you, be this way, do this way, think that way, before any of that happened, was there something in the liturgy that made sense? Catholic rituals are just, their liturgy is incredible, and the candles and the things that happen at Mass, when someone passes, and the way that they honor. There are some beautiful things about Catholicism. We can just take off the ism, is what Lilith states. We don't have to make it a way of life, which is why I have no problem walking straight into a Catholic church, sitting down, and observing Mass, especially when someone departs, or if there's a baby blessing. A lot of my friends invite me the same way in this LDS community here in Utah. I get invited and I go. So I go because there are beautiful portions of this ceremony that touch my heart, and I'm not going to judge the rest of it because, much like when you read the Bible, if you're conditioned, you're like, oh, Vacation Bible School, you're like, oh, I remember when people were, saying, go to the altar call and get saved and all these things, right?
Yeah.
I was obviously raised Baptist. So I began to feel that those were powerless things, but I still held on to some portions of that, like people in some Baptist religions speak in tongues, which, by the way, sounded just like beautiful light language to me. I loved it when people would do that, so that made me hang on to a positive essence about the experience. So if you want to bless someone, take away any of the negative and remember the positive. When you want to bless someone, you are thinking that a prayer is a certain thing that is a condition.
Yeah.
So what if it isn't? What if it isn't? What if you pray the way you want to pray? What if prayer isn't supplication, is what Lilith is stating. So supplication is, I'm okay. I'm going to pull a Lilith, and this is definitely going to be sarcastic because she can do this. She says, this is how humans pray. Oh, Heavenly Father, for thou I have sinned, and I have been so bad. Yeah, I can't do it. I tried.
Yeah.
Let's try this again.
After that, I already expect a metal
right. Do you feel like
song.
so lowly right now?
Yeah.
And it was so bad. And here's the other way she says you guys pray. Dear Heavenly Father, please give this to me because I am so miserable. And I'm dying over here, literally. God, why do you hate me? Why are all these things happening to me?
Yeah.
Why is this happening to my beautiful, sweet daughter? She doesn't deserve it. Please, I pray for her. Please take this disease away. Please, 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 please. That is supplication. Okay? That is a conditioned, powerless way to pray, she says. Okay? So how about we learn to pray and bless without supplication? What does that look like? That looks like gratitude. Dear God, thank you for, I am so blessed. Here are all the many ways I am blessed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is, whatever the case is. I just added something fun there because many of you like that. So there's that. It's just a way to pray in a way that and she doesn't care what you call it. You can call it a blessing. You can call it meditation. You can call it prayer. You can call it affirmations. It is the innocence of your intention that makes for the power of a blessing. Blessings that heal.
Exactly. And
sarcastic. I didn't like it.
She does that sometimes, and she's funny. And Mariam was saying that if you felt that connection while praying in such a way, just change your perspective. Because then you just cut this cord because you started believing something different. If you believed in the Catholic Church and whatever that was, whatever that represented for you, just take the good things, is what she's saying. Stop looking at the bad things. But if it's worked for you and if it made you feel connected, what if you just use that, the same kind of prayer, we'll say, as you did, with this different kind of meaning, we'll say. She's saying that you can change your perspective by giving it a different meaning, if that's going to help you. Because once you just cut the cords and you believe that, oh, that's bad, and then you're just sitting in your innocence and you start a prayer, and then you go like, oh my God, I shouldn't be praying like this because I was taught this way. So you are just using all of those negative connotations to drive your blessing, and that's not what's going to help you or anyone else. So if you just accept yourself, accept your journey, accept how beautiful it is that you chose this path and this remembrance and all of the things that you learned there. So just gather all of those great things that that you brought with you from being that kind of environment, and use your prayers, but use what Pamela's just saying, like be thankful, use your gratitude. If you're praying for someone else, just whatever it is that you want for them or for you, just say thank you for and whatever it is. But she's saying that you shouldn't just neglect that part of you, because it's part of your journey right now, as the expression of the divine that you are right now. So it's not loving to you. Just every time that you are like sitting in your innocence and you want to send a blessing for someone, and then you just cut yourself out because that's not what you were supposed to do. You're simply supposed to feel. So how does it make you feel? And choose the loving thing. That's her advice, is saying. Every time that you're feeling something, dive into it and allow it to be quote unquote good. Allow it to be loving.
Yeah. Just by thinking, like wanting to do this, the moment you thought of it, you already sent the love and the blessing.
Someone mentioned in chat, and I believe that this is kind of a Course in Miracles and Way of Mastery kind of teaching. It sounds like it. He said, value judgments are projections based on fear and self-loathing. Loathing. Discernment is a choice based on love. And I choose this as my preference. It is not in a denial that others may prefer that. So the thing about preference, this is what Lilith says, and Lilith is going to bring you into the middle ground of oneness teachings and complete dualistic teachings. So, can we check on Emmy? She's saying mom over and over again. Thank you. Value judgments don't necessarily have to be bad. If we had no positive point of value for being in a creative environment, why would it be creatively valuable? Why would we even be here if we weren't choosing personality-based value and worth? That's a creative decision. And that's not opposite of discernment. That value judgments, if done progressively and with love and compassion, with empowerment, and just discerning what does love and compassion and empowerment mean to you? Because sometimes value judgments are done in order to discern, to perhaps withdraw from someone who's being unloving, or a circumstance who's being unloving or not compassionate in your environment. And, we could, kind of deflect from that and go around in circles about that all day. But to avoid value judgments is also to avoid being in a body and to avoid having a personality, which are the ultimate tools for creative expansion, which you chose. So she says, don't deny that which you choose as well by creating a value judgment upon what the word value means.
Yeah. She's showing me like this incessant like thought of just doing it again in different ways.
Spiraling out and just basically separating by using oneness terms is what she says.
Yes, exactly. That's a trigger right there.
And we just triggered like 200 ACIM people. I dropping like flies, ACIM. ACIM, by the way, but I find that it can be another way to separate if you're looking at this is oneness and this isn't.
Yeah, like everything else, basically. We can choose to see it the way that we want to see it. As being creative beings that we are. And that's beautiful. That's what Mary's saying. Your ability to choose again and again and again is beautiful. You shouldn't neglect that. You shouldn't just let that go. It's part of being human, and honoring being human is the best and most loving thing that you could do in your experience right now. And we forget that a lot of times. I know I do. Sometimes like, this body's so lazy. Body doesn't want to go anywhere. Why can't I just be places, But yeah.
Next question.
No, my body's been wanting to be sick lately. And it's like, let me be sick. And I'm like,
nope.
Dude, what are you talking about? I don't want to just be right now. I don't want to be sick,
Yeah,
I get angry.
Thing to do.
Exactly, because sometimes you just need a break, and your body's like, okay, I'm gonna give you this mild disease here, just a little bit, so just you can take a break. And we go like, oh no, I can't. And then we start using like oneness teachings, like, I shouldn't be feeling this because I'm God, and then we go crazy again. So yeah, I know I've been fighting against my own nose these days. So.
Exactly, we ran out of tissues.
Totally.
In 2 days. Could Mary Magdalene or Lilith tell us more about how the conscious collective affects Gaia, and how we can bring healing rain to Australia?
Lilith is showing me something. She's showing me like a horse and a flea in a horse, and she does that sometimes. And Earth and Gaia is the horse, and we are the flea, and we think that we can, as humans, as that idea of separation, that we are not Gaia, that we are not that we are not the creators of all of that. We become that flea on the horse. So,
and we become to see ourselves as powerless beings who would have the same amount of power or powerlessness as a tiny little flea on the horse's back. We begin to feel, oh no, we have to all put our prayers together because we're so tiny.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
We should put our powers together because they feel good. It has nothing to do with feeling tiny, Lilith says. We should come together in connection because that is the reason why the fire started in the first place.
Yep.
Is by ignoring the power of connecting in so many ways. So here's the other thing she's saying. She's giving me an example. This is an actual memory that I have in my childhood. I was a teenager and I had a sick day and I was alone in the house and, living in rural Louisiana at the time. And I smelled something. I was asleep and I smelled fire, and of course I was alarmed. It woke me up and it smelled like a lot of fire, and the fire alarms were going off in my house. And I looked outside my window and there was fire right up outside my window. And, kind of not really understanding what was going on, I called the fire department. As a kind of nervous child, I was always a bit of a nervous child. So I'm like, there is a 5 feet tall fire outside of my bedroom window. All of my fire alarms are off. And the dispatcher just said to me, "It's okay. We understand that you're afraid." You see where I'm going with this? However, the farmer next door to you has tons of land and he's doing a controlled burn. You guys understand her analogy? I know that it would be easy for us to feel powerless about what Gaia is doing to naturally, karmically burn off something. And when you all come together in your power about this, and no matter how you do it, if you're going to come together to donate to relief societies, and if you're going to come together to meditate, you're together. And if you're together, Gaia no longer needs to do that. She did that because you weren't, and there needed to be a collective karmic cleansing. And I know some people think that's cruel when they're feeling in their state of powerlessness, but wouldn't it be easier to understand that there are reasons beyond fear-based comprehension for these divine actions? Doesn't mean you should do nothing. It means you should do a lot of something now. Stop talking about it on the internet and do something, Lilith says.
Yeah, because the more,
yes,
the more we share the pain, the more it grows in us, and you reflect that. So stay in your power instead.
Donate, meditate, do what you need to do. Group meditations are powerful. Donations are powerful. You know, leaving your own lives to go help someone else may not be exactly the best thing right now, but what can you do from the place where you actually are? So Australia, this is your game. Connect together. You know, Australia's got, Lilith says Australia's got a lot of resentment right now over outside countries just kind of like not being able to or not being willing to assist. But this is Australia's problem as a continent, as a collective. And this is not just a problem, it's an opportunity for connection, an opportunity for healing, an opportunity to send love to those forests and to get out and to replenish and scientifically and emotionally figure out what to do together. Stop depending upon other countries. They have their own problems at hand right now. The most they can do is donate and meditate as well. And you can do so much more from right where you are. So both the, you know, Australian natives and you know, and other people in other countries, everybody can come together in ways that they can and not beat yourself up when you can't. I know that when I personally see, I know we're away from channeling right now, but just my personal personality essence opinion, when I see all this on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, when I see these posts pleading for help, what I see is what Lilith says is more supplication, which we discussed earlier in this channeling. More, please help me. We're so powerless. This is so bad. This is so wrong. And what these beings would like to see more of is, let's come together. Yes, this is happening. Where's the love? Not why is it happening? Not this is so bad. Not this is we're so scared. We're so angry. Not no one is helping us. The opposite of all that. So if I'm going to see a post on Facebook that just shames me or puts me in fear, I will scroll through.
Exactly.
And I sometimes just shut the computer and walk away, because shaming is no way to do it. Getting angry about it is no way to do it. That just is it's like walking. Lilith just walked up to all the fires and she said that, and then she poured gasoline on it. She said, that does this.
Yes, exactly.
Water that cleanses this is the water of love. She's giving me another analogy now of all the people that are coming together with love and in connection and in oneness, meditating, sending their energies together, whether they're you know, native to Australia or not. That is the water that's purifying and cleansing the overall, you know, karmic thing that's burning away.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And every time that I see something like that and people are like pleading and feeling powerless, it's like it doesn't motivate, you know, to do something in that kind of way, because it doesn't feel like truth. And I think that every time that something like that happens, like the fires in the Amazon and all that, it's a way that for us to just see how powerful we can be together. Because if that belief created that, you know, if we created that way shower, you know, that thing that is showing us that we can be more powerful if we just pay attention, if we just become more aware, because it's the collective that created the fire, so if we created that, then we can create. Can you imagine the amazing, beautiful things we can create if we are just more aware of that, instead of giving into the fear and giving into the pain and the suffering? What if we just collectively choose to see it in the way that it was supposed for us to see? I feel like, like if we created that, it's because we were supposed to see that as an opportunity to give more love, to feel more love, to be more connected, and to do something together, whatever that is. Like you said, if you want to create like a crystal grid or whatever it is that can just send loving energy to whoever is going through that. And I know that it might sound a little cruel if we talk about it like that, because some people are there living that, and it's so different for us that we are just here, and people might think like, oh, you're just sitting there, you're not living that, but we are. Our heart is always there, and it's just a matter of not allowing those circumstances that we create to disempower us even further, because that's not the point.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, hey, Ani, somebody just said on the YouTube chat, she said she's new to channeling and she's really curious how it feels when you channel. Like, how do you feel when you channel? Those are always fun questions to.
Yeah, because it's so different, it really depends. It feels awesome, it feels great, and it feels like it's meant to be, like it's something that is always there, and it's always there for all of us, and it's like a communication with yourself all the time. So it's like you open a door and you stop judging yourself, and you stop thinking of yourself as that little flea on the horse, and then you just allow things to come to you, and it feels, I can't find like a word. It feels like one. It feels like oneness. And then you don't see anything else like not being you, and it's not you either. Does it make sense? It's like it's all and it's nothing. And then if we can, like, I feel very grateful being able to serve with this, to answer questions if people think that they have questions, and if they think that they cannot answer it themselves, it feels like gratitude. I don't know. What about you?
Yes. I'm wondering if, like, when I'm reading the person, she also means like what it feels like physically for you to channel.
Okay.
Emotionally and as a human being, like more. But I agree with you about all the oneness things.
Yeah, it feels differently for me with each being. Yes. And the more that I am not, let's say, aware of them in me, in my consciousness, because for me, I need a discernment. I need to see them first and understand their energy, and like, okay, it's you. And then I can start feeling myself into that. At least it's been like that. Something's shifting right now. So I'm in between a lot of things right now. They just show up sometimes, and I just feel all of that they are feeling. So for me, it's very like a heart thing. So my body translates it in many different ways for me to realize, because I think that my body is helping me with that discernment that I feel that I still kind of need, or at least I did, but it started like that, as seeing them and perceiving them and allowing to let them help me feel as they feel, like with Yeshua, with Mary Magdalene. How do you feel here? Because that's where my compass is. So then my body feels all kinds of crazy, all kinds of crazy. It's like my belly goes crazy most of the time, or I need to pee every 10 minutes, right? But now my body is getting used to all of that energy, because I feel like once you become more aware of it, it feels like increases, and the flow of the energy is always coming. So my skin was crazy for a while, and now it's getting better, so, but almost every time I feel like right now I need to pee. I always need to pee. That's my reality right now,
Oh, you should go. You should go. We'll wait. It's good.
Just yeah, no, it's fine for now. When I'm like on the verge of doing it, I'll go.
When you finally have to run.
Yeah. Because that's just how it is. But yeah, it feels different depending on the beings. Like Ra, it's his energy is crazy and it makes my head hurt like right here, and it feels like I'm boiling from the inside. It's
Oh,
different.
and then there's that thing about here, you know, that you feel energy here. That is a point for channels back there at the back.
Yeah, it's like here.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But it depends on the being for me. Is it like that for you too? Yeah.
Oh, she also asked, does it flow out of you quickly as you're speaking it, or do you hear it first and then repeat?
No, it just happens. I don't hear them anymore. Yeah, it's just, I just allow them. It's like they are using me to talk.
Yeah. And a lot of times this is kind of for me, pre-spiritual awakening and post-spiritual awakening answer. So this may help you guys understand a little bit about various levels as you are realizing and becoming your oneness, and you know your density changes, which means it's different for the body.
Yeah.
Okay. And then as you realize that your body is becoming that, it's incredibly different. And there are different stages. So there's not one way to channel. I mean, as a mentor and teacher to channels all around the world, I've trained so many channels. I can tell you that it's each of you come to me and you each think that you're either going to learn to trance channel and you're going to go to sleep, or you're going to be awake for the majority of the time. Like Annie and I are primarily clear conduit channels, which means that we are observant. But Annie trances as well, and I trance as well. And then when we feel like trancing, it's a very different experience.
Yeah.
People channel through painting, and you're not sleeping while you're painting. I see people channel when they're like riding motorcycles, like that time that I accidentally stumbled upon channeling Evel Knievel, and then it like, yeah, I was on the back of a motorcycle and I was like, go faster, that corner this way. You know, luckily the person that was, I was like, hey, you can jump that. He was like, that's a cliff. What's wrong with you? I'm like, but you can. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with you right now. I'm like, oh my God, I am so sorry. Something just really took me over. So that's how channeling works for me, is that, and then I don't know it until afterwards. It happens and something comes through, you know, and in today's ancient society, they call that crazy. You know, they call that like personalities or whatever, or things of that nature. And that can happen when channels are out of alignment with healing the emotions and the mind. And if you're out of alignment, that's when channeling, by the way, can go very wrong. It doesn't for me, thank goodness. But you just integrate yourself and your mind power becomes more clear. But for me, I can tell when I'm just kind of saying something that's just a little bit different than, say, the alleged personality.
Yeah.
You know, and certain things will come. You know, it happens in mediumship too. So there are various stages. And when you are beginning to channel, they call that mediumship. So when you first begin to awaken to your gift, one of the first things that happen in channeling is mediumship. You will hear, you will see. What mediumship is that you are the medium for something that you sense. And then Dolores used to call that listening. She said, oh, you're not channeling, you're listening. She says that to some channels. With me, she just hops on in. There's no warning for Dolores's essence. I just realize it later and go, oh, hi. You know, realize it and they're like, is that Dolores? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I realize that it is, you know, because I don't have that awareness of realizing that that's happening. But people who know me very well know that I do have a personality, you know, that is unique and calm, and, you know, some people call it a little boring, you know, shy. So when all these other essences just kind of jump on in, you know, my phrases may change. Body doesn't really feel that different, but it used to. Through various stages of awakening for channels, I've noticed that Lilith observes that bodies go through stages of their mastery for channeling. So initially that is what some mediums call spirit bombs or chills, things like that. For me, it was never that. It was like sweating like crazy.
Yeah, me too.
So for clear conduit channels, we sweat. For mediums, you get cold and you kind of, and occasionally when I am going through a mediumship situation, which means there's a personality that hasn't crossed over into oneness, I will get cold. but I don't do a lot of that these days.
Yeah, me neither.
They don't come to me. And when you request it, I do it.
Yeah.
I can tell that being is there because suddenly I get like a chill up my spine, and it literally, like, you can see me do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
can't deny it. So there's various stages of what it feels like to channel. And you will notice that the more you come into your realization with channeling, it's very, very different. So for Annie and I now, it's extremely different than from when we first started.
Yeah. And it keeps getting different. And it's
Yeah.
like, you just need to, let it come and whatever it is. And I was just thinking about this before, because we had a theme and then we didn't have, and I'm like, I don't feel aligned to this anymore. So every single time I need to remind myself that I don't need to control this, So it's something that I'm still working through. So because it's not something that I feel like I should have control over, it's just what I am right now. And if I chose this role, then let's play it. And then I just sit here and let whatever comes just come. And if I look crazy, well, then I do,
Yeah.
So I think that for whoever is starting, that would be my advice. Don't judge yourself too harshly if you look like a crazy person, because it might happen, and it's fine and it's okay.
It might happen. Exactly what Annie's saying. If you have this fear that you're going to look a certain way and that people are going to judge you harshly, then it likely won't happen. That fear actually disconnects you from the methodology and the practice of channeling, because it is a practice. And if you're not a realized being, channeling is a practice. Once you are really realizing what and who you are, it's just a flow. It's just a flow.
That's how it feels.
Thought forms, tapping in and out of different thoughts that create different emotions, that create different perceptions of personality essences that you will channel for alleged separate other beings, because that is their dream and that is what they wish. Now we have Lilith. You see how all my vocabulary changed? That was an unknown channeling. I didn't know that was coming through.
Yeah. Happens to me. Flavia calls me on it all the time. It's like, "Hi, hello, Lilith," and I'm like, "Sorry." She does that, because you don't see that separation anymore. And sometimes it just happens. That was the word that I was looking for. It's flow. It feels like flow whenever. I don't feel. I would say that whenever I'm channeling, I don't think I'm not ever channeling. It's like it's a constant thing. Now that I'm just aware of it. But yeah.
Next question is, can Mary and Lilith please expand on the differences between densities and dimensions?
Lilith isn't really interested in this particular storyline, is what she states.
Yeah.
However, we do have a personality essence, if you will call it, who is. So we now have Seth from the Seth material, and he states that densities are an observation of a unique expression when the body essence meets the logos. And when you begin to merge, there is a certain density. You are shifting at the cellular level, and it can be a bit of a misnomer, he states, to confuse this method and mannerism and way of being with the dimensional plane of existence in which you reside. So a dimension, he gives me metaphors sometimes about this, and I'm seeing this in my mind right now, flashes of, an air traffic control screen. So the dimensions are like the different flight zones and flight paths that those airplanes are flying into and out of. So in the air traffic controller is source. In this instant, the pilot is you, the ego. And the body is the plane. So the body and the mind experiences density. And then you are seen as a plane or a body, a thought and a feeling and a body. Those are all mechanisms. Okay. And as you are realizing that you operate in certain, he doesn't want to call it levels because that makes it hierarchical, he states, but certain awareness fields. So for instance, anger is kind of packed density. It's not a low density emotion. It is packed full of power that you can use for harm or that you can use to actually empower yourself. So people confuse density as being low density, high density. Good density would be high and low density would be bad, etc. That's not where he's going in this teaching. It's just the density is packed and concentrated and therefore more powerful because you are embodying a certain thought and feeling, and then you have a very concentrated density. And then you're calling that certain things like third density, fourth density, fifth density. You created that in your storylines. And he honors that because it gives you a methodology for teaching. So that's the density. Back to the air traffic control analogy. The density is basically the pilot, say, has a certain way that he thinks and feels, and suddenly plane is different, flying is different, methodology is different. So the controller may be like, hey, this is a bit of a problem. You have another plane coming your direction. You should turn 380 degrees to the right. You are now in a different flight zone. Okay, zone is different. Air traffic controllers might follow me a little bit. I'm channeling my brother right now a little bit as well. He's an air traffic controller for Atlanta International. So there's a difference, he says, between zone and path. Flight zone, flight path. Way different. Your zone changes all the time. So if God is the air traffic controller up in the tower telling you something, and God comes through the pilot and says, hey, you're out of alignment. Something's coming in your direction. You're creating a bit of a conundrum for yourself. You might want to merge back into source a little bit here by choosing love, and then plane suddenly turns, in air traffic control, they call that a near miss. All right. So basically speaking, when you have a flight path, that would be more analogous with the term dimension. That is your path. It is the overall degree of variation of densities that you hold over time. How much of a common density are you in? So when people say, am I primarily operating in the fifth dimension or fourth dimension or third dimension, and the way that I'm living and my choices, they're actually talking about density. They're actually talking about how powerfully concentrated their thoughts and feelings and the karma of thoughts and feelings are becoming words and actions. That's what they're talking about. And then that causes them to make choices to be in a dimensional plane of existence. So they're primarily people of various densities in the same dimension. And that just happens to be that way in universal law. Is this making sense? I know it's kind of a weird thing to explain.
It's kind of scientific in a way, right?
That's why we had to get a Seth in here.
Yeah. That's very interesting. I don't understand a lot of it, to be honest. It just comes and it goes. And then I stop trying to control it because I never mind.
You guys can look at my channeling of Ra. My most recent channeling of Ra on Patreon describes this. And any raw material that you can get your hands on. And my multiversal awareness class and multiversal living class by Seth. It was taught by Seth through me on Patreon. And then my channeling of Seth, which is now public on YouTube. These are things that will help you understand the differences between density and dimension. Because I really could keep talking.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to.
Yeah, that was fascinating. The
Yes.
channeling with Seth.
Yeah.
It's very, very nice.
Next question. How to be fully divine and fully human? How to know we are God and to fully honor our humanity?
Mary keeps showing me like a keyword that is limiting you, that is know. How to know we are God. She's changing it to feel. How to feel we are God and to fully honor our humanity. Because knowing is from the mind, she's saying.
Mm-hmm.
And feeling is from the heart, and the heart is where, quote unquote, God resides. So how do you feel in your experience right now as being the God that you are? And how much of this awareness you choose to accept in your body? So she's saying that there is no difference between being fully human and being fully divine. You are never not divine. And whenever you choose to be in a body, yeah, you are human, but still you're not just that. There's just so many things that encompass what you are. And bottom line, you are always love. So how does God feel in your heart when you connect to it? Well, I mean, when you become aware of your connection to it, because you are never disconnected from God, because it's in everything that you are. So the more you honor your experience here right now, and she's putting like now in bold letters, the more you feel fully divine and fully human, as you say. So enjoying the present moment, living in the present moment, breathing in the present moment, and loving in the present moment. That's how you honor your humanity, without thinking of you not being this. What if you decide choosing to think that you are all the time? So everything that limits you gives you the perception that God is far away, because God has no limitations at all. So every time you create something that is limiting you, you feel separated. So that's why she changed the word to feel. So how do you choose to feel? And how do you bring that feeling into your reality? And she's again mentioning honoring yourself as the God that you are right now, in the present moment. You are doing exactly what you are supposed to do, because you are not a human doing. You are a human being. And you are always what you are, because you're love, you're God. It's just a matter of how you perceive yourself and how much you are willing to accept of your own sovereignty in this present moment.
You know, that follow-up question somebody had that because I'm looking at YouTube chat as well and sometimes try to catch them all, but we can't because they fly by so quickly.
Yeah.
Someone said, are we controlled elect? And Lilith drug the question out in front of my face and she said, answer that.
We control what?
Elect.
Are we controlled elect? You know, and my mind said, I don't understand the question. And then she said, you don't need to understand his language to understand this question. And then she said, ask him. And she said, rather state to him, you know, God within you is apparently electing to feel controlled. So if your answer is yes, then yes, you are. If your answer is no, then no, you aren't. It is really that simple about all of these terms. Someone else is in YouTube chat talking about is Ra Anunnaki, and Lilith said, and so if it is, and so if it isn't, what have you elected to believe would be good or bad about that? Are you electing to feel control? Are you electing to feel afraid?
I thought it was going to be
anyone else would talk, and we're just sitting
Yeah.
here comfortably in silence. Sorry.
And then they continue, did we collectively pull Gaia down as a 3D? And she said, did we electively, pull Gaia down into 3D? She said, you are electing to believe that third dimension is a bad place to create within. Congratulations. She's being sarcastic. She doesn't mean you as a person. She means as a whole, that there's a big percentage of the collective still that believes that we need to be a hierarchical society, that this way is bad, that way is bad, and this way is good. It's the alternate to that.
There are a lot of people having a lot of fun and feeling a lot of love in what we call the 3D world. They are living the best lives, because that's just us. That's humanity, and what we choose to do and how we choose to perceive those things. I would rather we didn't have any of those things, to be honest, me personally. 3D, 5D, how is it serving us? You know, if it's serving, then choose that and use that in your for your own benefit. You know, how is it serving you? But if it's not, I think it's okay to let go of that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lilith states it has become an ethical barometer.
Yeah, there's that.
A measuring device that kind of, and she said we use this in New Age communities as a way to discern if we are being compassionate or not. And that can be helpful, but much like in religions, the same barometer is used. You know, are you going to heaven or hell? Did you do enough good things for people today? Did you serve enough people today? That's in the LDS community. You know, were you good enough today is basically what these religions were saying and still are. So what barometer are you using? What's your measuring device here? Your measuring device is helping you to feel worthy, wonderful, but these are value systems that can be creative and they can make you feel wonderful or not, where these are tools. How are you using them?
Exactly.
I just don't find much preference or relevance. I don't relate to the concept of third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension. I know that from the universal law that they exist. But I find that if I'm focusing on so much energy on one dimension, I can't serve in another. And if I am going to follow the collective belief system where you all believe that third dimension needs me right now, I'm going to decide to be in it, but not necessarily of it. That would be something that you can consider to be sort of a bridge of consciousness between all these concepts of something that's lower than, higher than, better than, lesser than. Be in something, and if you don't like it, don't be of it, but you can be in it and sending a blessing amongst it and not trying to put yourself in a higher position. I call this spiritual shaming, New Agers. I hear terms being spread around. I'm 5D.
Yeah. Oh God. It is. It's not empowering for anyone. Right. Because it keeps going to the power under and over and the whole hierarchy and then, oh, if you are in the 5D, you are better or you're more evolved. I don't like any of it.
All my perception of 3D and 5D goes out to the movies, you know, the cinema. That's where my 3D and 5D are.
Yeah.
And all the glasses, right?
Yeah.
Rose glasses, or Lilith calls them shit-colored glasses. Yeah. So she basically plays around with me a lot in that way. She's like, oh, the 50, they have all their rose-colored glasses. Everything's wonderful. And they're just going to sit around and meditate all day and forget that they have a body. She chastises that. And then the 3D, she's like, oh, everything is shit over there. Put on the shit glasses. Nothing's better. Oh my God, we got to go to work today and our life sucks. Between all of that.
The sheet glass, I like it.
I like your glasses. I don't want anyone to color my glasses or
I like no glasses. Let's just stay in the 2D.
Oh no, Seth comes from those. Oh no. Humans.
Oh gosh.
Only movie related.
Right.
I keep on getting out of my body. It's like feels like it, and then it gets time to ask another question. I'm like, oh, I gotta
I gotta be back.
Yeah.
Suna Sinman, she's an amazing alchemist. She's here watching us today. She said, I feel like I'm just in 1D. And Lilith said, oh, you're just. Her statement was, I am one. I am in one whole complete dimension.
Yeah.
She'll correct me if I'm channeling.
More, yeah. More like that.
Next question is, apart from eating the right foods, how can we make our physical bodies younger? I'm looking at Annie right now. Like,
and Lilith is talking here. She's saying, well, what was the question again? Because I was like, I'm not answering, and she was talking, and I'm like, oh, okay then.
Apart from eating
healthy, okay,
right foods.
She's talking about the belief in death and how rooted it is in you. And why do you want to make the body look younger in the first place? If that's like an experience, and if that's the collective thing that we create, is that we are born and then we grow up and then we spend a number of years in feeling young, and then we decide getting old, why is your motivation to continue being young? She's saying that because she's saying, I'm not invalidating, is that a word? She's not validating your experience. She's saying just that, how are you living the best expression of you today, and why would you want this to perpetuate? Because if you're feeling that you need to look younger, we'll say, or that you fear that one day you will die, how are you enjoying your life, or how are you honoring yourself and your body and your whole experience as a human right now in this present moment? And why would you want that to continue? And why would you want to stop creating and expanding? Does it make any sense what I'm saying? Okay. She's saying, yes, it is. So you choose loving yourself today. And she's saying that that's the best that you will ever feel. When you fully love and embrace and accept yourself right now in your physicality exactly as you are, you won't feel like you need anything else. But if you feel like you need to change anything about you, and if you need to become something else, or if you need to use another methodology or another process, you are not fully honoring what you are and where you are, and you consequently you are believing in the crazy or the insanity that death is possible. So how do you choose to honor and love yourself today, and why do you want to perpetuate that? You don't need to be in this body to feel like that all the time. And even if this body grows old and eventually you decide not using it anymore, that essence is you at all times. That love is you at all times. So there is a lot that she said. I don't know if it made any sense because she took over.
Yeah, it does. What I'm getting from the question, Lilith just kind of turns it back around on you, and she said, what is this apart from eating healthy foods thing you've just stated? Insane.
Yeah.
Apart from doing anything healthy. Of course, it is more than 50% of your appearance, and what the body is doing in terms of its appearance is related to what you're eating. And this is the aspect of, are you engaging in pure, healthy, energy loving patterns? That's just not food that you're eating, but what food are you feeding yourselves with from social media, from your loved ones, from loving or unloving relationships? How are you feeding yourself by being involved in gossip? There's so much more than just what you're eating, but food is more than 50%. At least 55, 60%, and the rest, depending upon the individual's creative expression, can be how much food is happening, in the rest. What is your energy food? So food is everything in relation to immortality. And we don't just mean what you're eating. We mean how you are energetically nurturing yourselves or not. And is the way that you're nurturing yourselves involved in innocence? Are you eating death? If you believe that the whole concept, and this goes a long way, vegans, the whole concept of, if you feel that you are killing someone and you feel that there's pain and suffering involved, then you've created a whole exacerbating, painful situation around eating meat. And then thereby you're going to eat meat and the body's going to die because you're eating death, because of your belief system of death. Yeah. And there are, oh my goodness, very sacred, perfectly pure ways that my Native American ancestors taught me to bless the deer. I grew up on deer. I'm a Native woman. I'm 50% white, 50% Catawba tribal, straight up Native indigenous woman. So we had rabbit in our freezer, we had deer, and my father would teach me, You know, he taught me how to hunt with a bow, even though I refused to pull the thing. I just kind of sat there and went, oh my God, it's going to die. And then I had to watch how the deer would look into his eyes. And for a moment, there was a connection where I could feel that deer saying, I want to symbiotically bless your body by becoming a part of your food cycle. And I watched it and observed the belief system disintegrate between that deer and my father. Okay. So, and that is what it is. So he didn't have those belief systems. So it wasn't meat that killed his body. But people were constantly shaming him about alcohol. So he died of cirrhosis. You see how that goes? Yeah. So when we talk about food, there are people that are fed by gossip. Gossip is just like the value system of that you've created is that it is lies, it is poison, it is death. So you're fed by that. And then you wonder why you are perpetually angry, tense, anxiety-ridden, and full of resentment. And gossip feeds the portion of you that likes resentment. And resentment is such a densely packed, controlled belief that it will eat your organs. It is very powerful. It is the primary energetic cause of all cancers. All cancers stem from resentment, Lilith states. So do you see this answer to your question can become incredibly intricate?
Yeah. And they said, I am 22, but I tested as being 36, hence my question. And then I hear them asking you, first of all, what is that test? And why would you put so much trust in that? Yes. And so much faith in that? Who created the test, you know? And what is the base of, I can't.
Well, the follow-up question that one of my students here, Elizabeth, has is, how do you actually release, if that's the case, how do we heal and release resentment? And I really think that's a Mary thing. I think that's coming through.
How to release resentment.
Yeah.
She's showing me two technologies, as they call, compassion and forgiveness. Towards yourself first is what she's saying, because you created that. And then as empaths, or whatever we want to call that, as channel, because Elizabeth is also channel, we feel so much, right? We feel into everything. And then when we resent someone, the first thing that we do is that we judge ourselves for doing so, because that's just how we were programmed to work, you know? So she's saying that there's a lot in that can result in letting go of that belief. But she's saying that the first thing it is having compassion for yourself, compassion for your path, and compassion for whatever situation created that resentment in the first place, and then forgiving that within yourself. And she's saying that by doing that, simply you will start seeing whatever that was that you were resenting as being one with you, because you created that as being the God that you are, and you served. However it served, it matters not, because it's not serving anymore, and it became resentment, whatever that happened. If it became resentment and you are still holding into it, and it's not motivating you to grow, we'll say, anymore, so it's not serving. So it's time to let that go. It's time to release that. So she's saying that using the sheer awareness that you are the God of your creation, and forgiving yourself for that. And she's saying that most humans right now, they need to simply forgive themselves for being the God of their own creation. Whatever it is that you create for yourself, not to yourself. Because everything that happens, she's saying that we can decide to see that as being beautiful and graceful, because it serves our purpose and it serves our path. So she's talking about a change of perception, a change of thought. She's saying that whatever thought it is that is fueling this feeling, you can change that thought. So there are so many processes that you could choose to it's like an alchemic process. There's so many things that you could do to choose to release that. But she's talking that primarily it is forgiving yourself and having compassion for yourself for creating whatever sad situation. Because once you forgive yourself for being the God that you are and creating everything that is in your reality, you stop seeing that as being bad, and there's nothing left to resent.
I love that. I love the technologies that she's been teaching through Lightworkers613 and through myself as well, about innocence.
Yeah.
And that's something within the technology of grace, that grace we already are. It's nothing to attain. And it begins to activate the moment we begin to lose harmful value systems and to attach value systems to and beliefs that involve, non-innocence, something being the opposite of innocence, something being shame and guilt oriented. So it's really interesting. So I love that immortality does involve being able to embrace innocence.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's saying that you create from that innocence, that God creates from that, and God simply wants to experience and to have fun, which we don't even think about that so much. But yeah, if we are in a body, we are here to have fun and to enjoy. And then we start taking things so seriously that we forgot our innocence as the creators that we are. Sometimes it's just remembering that can just trigger that grace.
Yeah, someone asked a very interesting question, and I think she means to us as channels. I don't think she's asking this to Lilith or Mary as spirit essences here today, but she said, do we have someone to answer our questions, and is there knowledge that we seek? I assume that Krina means me and Annie, but she may mean Mary.
What is the question?
It's a very interesting question. She says, do we have someone to answer our questions? Is there knowledge that we seek? And I'm not sure what she means. It was just a very interesting question that Lilith just pulled out of the whole lot of them.
If we have someone to answer the questions, like if we have like our higher selves to answer our questions, do you think that
like they are asking the questions in the chat now. If there's someone that you like, then answer your questions. That's what I understood of the question.
Do we seek knowledge as channels?
Yeah.
To seek knowledge.
Oh no, you can see that. That's my response. Like, huh? No. At least. Okay.
Same thing though. She said no. She means Mary and Lilith. Does Mary and Lilith go to someone to answer their questions? Do they seek knowledge?
Okay, now I understand the question. Yep. It's like, nope. We have all those answers because we are them, and you are too. It's not only like, oh, Pamela is Lilith and I'm Mary Magdalene. And no, we are all of that. I am Pamela, Pamela is me, and we are you. And sometimes we are the voice because that's the role that we chose that we would play for each other. That's how I see it personally. So we chose those roles because we awaken things in each other and we remind each other of things that had always been and that's been there all the time. And that's why we choose to play different roles. And sometimes we choose to be the voice of whatever it is that they are calling knowledge. I think it's just remembrance. It's just truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Lilith says, why would I go to someone to know in order for wisdom? Knowledge isn't wisdom. I know nothing. And she said, in the moment you realize that knowledge is of the mind, is of the human ego, you too will know nothing. And it does not mean that you will be ignorant.
Exactly.
It means you will be wise to unlearn all of the alleged knowing that you think is wisdom about your world is that which makes you ignorant. But to unlearn, to undo this alleged knowledge is to know the deepest wisdom.
Corey's asking, so we can create allergies if we were born with them? Do you mean like before you are born? If you create allergies for yourself? I'm confused. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I understand the question either.
Because she and I talked about this recently. So I think she means like, say if a child is born and they were like born with deadly allergies and it's always been there, can that be a part of some, can their soul have created that experience for them to with the allergies?
I think so. Personally, we create everything because we are strong enough to.
Not. If it's there, it means you did create it. If the body is experiencing it, God created the concept of the body's condition to experience the opportunity.
What?
Lilith is saying stuff. Don't, never mind.
Next question. What does trust have to do with fulfillment of desires? I find all my needs fulfilled because I expect them to be. But for those things that I don't trust will happen, they don't.
That's a loaded question, and it's more of a statement than a question.
Yeah.
Because every time you use the word expectations,
Mm-hmm.
you may as well have just like Lilith showed me this really terse image of, did you guys used to play this game as kids, Hangman? Did you ever play that?
Oh, yes.
You draw it out and there's certain things you spell and it's a spelling game. And if you spell it wrong, the little man hangs or whatever. And they have little like smartphone computer versions of this as well. And it teaches you spelling. Okay. So this is spelling as a condition. And here we are talking about how conditions of expectations, that's the noose around your neck. She said, you may as well just from that. So desire can be incredibly creative, and it can be a positive valuation, and it can be a negative valuation system. So in this situation, expectation can be a negative valuation system. And that should answer your question, no matter how many double entendres were there, she said.
How
She
are
doesn't
we?
have any shame over judging your question.
Yeah, she couldn't care less, right? I say that. I love working with her because she has zero shits to give.
Mic drop all the time.
Yeah.
How are we with time?
I have to leave in about 15 to 20 minutes to pick up my child from robotics practice.
Okay. So next question is, when Mary and Yeshua came to me in a vision, they said I have people to help. When they showed me the people which needed help, I was shown people up in the clouds. Can you help me interpret this for myself, please?
Okay, let me read that again.
Yeah. He has to help people in the clouds.
The feeling that I get is like the clouds is you. And all the people are inside of you. And the more you perceive yourself, because they are showing it to me like when I used to see when I was a child, and I was raised Catholic. So I always saw my angels in the clouds. And I always saw them outside of me, you know? And it took heavy deprogramming, I would say, to allow them to be inside of me. Because it's an allowance of your consciousness, I think. So the more you see all of those people as you, the more you can access whatever it is that you are going to serve them with. That's how I am interpreting it, because they are showing it to me, like the clouds, and the way that it feels like there are a lot of people just walking around the clouds, you know, not aware. So I think that you become aware, and then you teach them awareness of self, of you. That's how I'm particularly interpreting what they showed you. It might mean so many other things.
Yeah, I agree. She's saying in a different way to me, but I agree with that. And she said that there are various levels of expansion that we as a collective put ourselves through. So if we are feeling that the world is a helpless, powerless place, we sometimes create visions of more powerful beings that would come from higher places, aka the clouds in this vision, to come down to our lowly selves and save us. And sometimes we feel more empowered when we create these visions for ourselves. God within us, the God mind within us, not the ego, the God mind will actually create an agreement to activate the third eye. That's another belief system that we have, to perceive a vision of something so that we then become the savior. And then that makes us feel more powerful to spread a channeled message or to serve via healing, etc., where we become the savior for a world that, quote, needs saving, Lilith states, which is a second stage of development. We are serving and it is compassionate. We don't yet know that nothing needs saved and that nothing's wrong. That's a profound oneness teaching that is not yet apparent to observe. So there are stages of these visions. They don't just mean one thing. Yeah. What stage have you created for yourself? She asks you.
Many levels to observe.
We have a question on Patreon that says, it's said that a pure woman is powerful. What exactly is purity in a woman? How can women be the powerful influence of good in the world?
Just a second, because my ego is giving me a run for my money.
Lilith said, I'm going to let you sit with that upon your answer.
Can you read it again,
yes,
please?
It's said that a pure woman is powerful.
Pure woman is powerful.
Yes. What exactly is purity in a woman?
Okay. First thing thank you. First thing is like, what is pure to you? Why label? That's the first thing that comes to me. But what exactly is purity in a woman?
Yes.
So they first say it is what you say it is. It is what you choose, because those labels are yours. And I don't think they serve at all, honestly. What exactly is purity in a woman? Yeah, I can't get past this. I'm sorry. Do you have anything?
She said, and what is purity in a man? And what is purity in someone that is transgender? What is purity in gay? What is purity in straight? What is purity in darkness or evil? What is purity in light? Do you see how the question is irrelevant? Purity is the innocence of all. Within the context of mystery school teachings for divine feminine, there is a pure flowing ebb of energy that flows as pure as the ocean. When you know certainly that the moon will move the grand tidal waves upon the shore and cleanse naturally. And then there is action-based divine masculine that comes in for protection of the purity of such emotional innocence. They work together. One is protective and powerful and action-oriented. One is pure, like the grandness of the waves of the ocean. And they work together.
Yeah, that's what she's showing me now. It's like, in this case, purity being innocence, you are always innocent. And if you diverge from that truth, then you are shaming yourself and judging yourself and thinking that you're sinful, and we are going through all of that again and again and again. That's why I get so triggered. Sorry about that. Sometimes it's just too much.
Oh no, I get it. I was triggered by the question in YouTube thereafter where it said, is forgiveness necessary to have a happy life, or can we just give it to God and still be happy? And Lilith says, well, how much resentment are you avoiding and bypassing when you say, oh, forgive them for they know not what they do, yet you're still really pissed off. In which case forgiveness is an incredibly necessary technology. So the answer to your question is, how much are you bypassing? You cannot forgive without accepting that the event was necessary to begin with, and innocent to begin with. It cannot be lifted to your alleged higher planes where you believe that there's a purity until you believe that it was pure to begin with.
Yep.
Next question. What does Lilith have to say about going through situations of chaos and destruction?
Chaos is an effective universal tool. Chaos is the axe in the hand of the reaper. So chaos is the fire that we create upon the deeper energy of destruction. When you realize over and over again that your earth requires karmic cleansing and purging. Chaos is what happens when a mind goes insane and then returns to insanity, and chaos is everything that creatively happens in between when you betray your own innocence. And you must do this and then return to it again, and then do this. You betray your innocence. You effectively distract yourself and forget God over and over and over again. You separate from oneness and purity and innocence over and over and over again, and that creates an effective amount of chaos to redo and undo everything that you have perceived as innocent or not. It's a start over point. And she showed me an image of, some of my little kids are gamers. And one of my little ones, my 13-year-old, loves these retro games. He loves Smash Brothers, currently Smash Brothers, Super Mario. And I can't stand it, like they come to the smashing point and I'm like, oh, I gotta smash, I'm gonna walk away. And she's like, oh, you don't think it's innocent? Well, or like when Mario or Luigi jump on the turtle and then it kind of makes that death sound and then it rolls away and then it hits another being and then it hits that and then it can go down. That turtle can just fly down the screen. You guys watch Super Mario Brothers too? That turtle can just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Versus when I play the game, I'm like, I'm going to play the game without stepping on any turtles. You play these games, Oh no. Like, next you're playing Mortal Kombat. And I'm like, fuck that. So we have some work to do. But chaos is that turtle, gamers. That's effectively just like you hit one of them and it slides to the next one and slides to the next one and slides to the next one. And all this death is happening. And then all of a sudden, like you hear the death sound in the Super Mario game. It's like, and then it starts all over again. It's a reset button.
So much fun.
Chaos is your reset button. It is your opportunity to even have a reset button. Otherwise, you're bored, gods, she states.
Yeah.
I will not be playing Mortal Kombat anytime soon.
Oh, you should see me playing
you guys playing together.
That would be great because I become a crazy person and you will probably be like, oh my god, why is this happening? We should do it.
She screams so much and curses.
Come out and own you and it'll be funny.
Yes. It's like I'm gonna be kicking ass. Yeah.
Oh god. Next question. I feel both of you strongly in their guidance and I feel both of you strongly. Is there a guidance you have for me? I feel as though I'm missing my signs rather your efforts of connection. She took the pen.
Oh my god. Lilith took the pen.
Don't do. Don't undo. Just be. Just breathe. If you can't decide or trust your decisions, do nothing. And she kind of separated that in a certain sense in the words when I was writing this. So you can just screenshot that for your own quote, do no thing. That's her definition of nothing. Basically, sit with it, be at peace. Don't be jumping all over the place to make a decision when you don't even know what it is you are and what you want to feel, much less what you want to be. People have this tendency in society, which this listener apparently exhibits often, to sort of feel put under the fire when it comes to making decisions, and that creates anxiety for this listener. So do nothing. Okay.
It's basically the same thing that I was getting from Mary. She was talking about just being present in the moment and breathing and releasing the belief that there is a hierarchy and that you are lower or someone is higher, or that, because that is not serving you anymore. Thinking about yourself that way. It's like, oh, I'm on the fourth dimension or fifth dimension, or, you know, it's not serving your creative expansion right now. It's just generating more anxiety. So just breathing and being present with yourself and just being loving to yourself in the present moment.
Viramu asked, does chaos have a middle ground, and what do they call it? Void?
Here she comes.
Goes, no, 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 no. Hell no. Chaos is chaos. You created it for the complete opportunity to destroy yourselves and then shamanically be reborn again. Of course, chaos has that middle ground. When chaos starts, it's on, you know? And she's going back to like my teenager's favorite games is retro games. She goes, it's on like Donkey Kong. As it starts, it's just there. There's no middle ground. There's no stopping it. If you create chaos, it's hard to get it stopped. She said it's like, she shows me this snowball that starts as a tiny thing on the top of like, I feel like right now, like I'm on like Everest, you know?
Yes.
Kilimanjaro and all these mountains where they're like huge, and she's like, and it's gonna keep going. What are you gonna do? It's gonna pick up some bones and sticks and possible trees along the way. Landslides. You never know where that's going.
Move out of the way. Is there any message or anything either Lilith or Mary Magdalene would like to say to the collective, or any specific thing they would like to talk about?
You first. She pointed to Mary.
It's like, go. I felt that because she just touched my shoulders like, let's go. She's saying, you've determined that it's time for you to see the beauty, the grace, and the love of what you are. And that is why you feel so compelled to move and to take action. And that is why you should stand still. Action is from the body, and you will know in the stillness of your heart when it's time to do such thing. It's when you feel held. It's when you are in strong alignment with trust. That's when you should move. That's when you should act. And we don't like using words such as should. For your comprehension right now, we will. So then you can take this to your heart and use it as you will. So you said it's time for you to awake. And you also understand that you create the dream. What are you awakening from? Where are you dreaming from? It's this place of stillness within your heart. That you have all the answers, that you have all the comprehension of the God that you are, and it lives inside of you. And it's not until you decide to open that door that you closed that you will be able to fully embrace what being human is and how beautiful that is. But you said it's time, and so we come. So many different ways to show you, to guide you, to play a role for you as you want us to, as you perceive us as being us and not you. And you can decide if it's time for you to stop perceiving yourself as such. And you create means to uncover that which you feel that is hidden within yourself. You have so many tools in your disposal, and the most beautiful one, the easiest one, is connection. So that is why we come and we share, so we can inspire you to do the same. The more you share, the more you feel your purpose, and the more you connect as one. So share your love, share your compassion, share your forgiveness if you feel the need to do so. Share your grace, your smile, your hand, your hug, and honor all of that as being the beautiful expression of the divine that you are. For there is nothing that doesn't reside inside that stillness of your heart. I am Mariam. I love you. And I am you.
I am Lilith. I am you, and I am not you. That is for your screenshots because you guys love it. It says, become a flowing human being. Become willing to be one who creates thoughts that embrace and cultivate allowance of all things and of no thing. There you go. If you're done with your screenshots, I'm going to put it down. I really love this because they get to keep these little quotes forever and ever.
You
I'll
wrote
keep that out for a while in case we go to conference. We can need it.
Yeah. You wrote flowing. I read Flavinha. And I'm like, why is it?
Why is she?
What is happening? And I was like, what?
A meme. We are flobbying. Yes.
Yes, we got there.
Oh Lord.
I love that.
That's why your face got weird. I was like, why is your face doing this?
What's happening?
Why is she freaking out?
I was trying to read.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Just like that, to cultivate allowance of all things and of no things. Creativity and oneness simultaneously. That is your bridge of consciousness. That is your middle ground. That is your way to be human and be in oneness simultaneously. There's no separation in her message. And with that being stated, I have to go because
Me too.
channeling issues arise.
Yep.
And I will see you guys next week. I have a full schedule on Patreon. And I'm excited to also see you on January the 11th for the Ram Dass channeling there. And Chris Ram Dass and Tim pops up. Timothy Leary goes, and me, damn it.
Never seen his name.
They're human. So it will be incredible. He just would not let me not mention him. So it's both of them.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, Lightworkers have a full schedule on their stuff as well. So.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes.
for having us. This was awesome as always. Love being here.
Ani and Flavia on patreon.com/lightworkers613. And you can find me on patreon.com/Pamela Aaralyn. We're both honoring our discounts for patrons this month. And so you'll see that discount code posted for mentorships, readings, and all sessions on both of our sites. And you can each find us. You can find them for private sessions at lightworkers613.com. And for me with private sessions and mentorship at PamelaAaralyn.com.
Yes. Also, new album is out.
Yep.
Yeah. Pamela's album, Sacred Songs for the Heart.
Sacred Songs.
In all, in all streaming platforms. So Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Google Play. Check that out because it's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
It
is.
I like to sing sacred songs. It's kind of my thing, as Lilith calls it.
Yeah.
Yes.
My thing that makes me become nothing. I like go into a puddle of oneness when I sing.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so that's out everywhere, and I made it like so affordable. So like I think it was like each song is like 99 cents. So
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yes.
Everywhere in the house there is the album play, you know. Then we just walk in like, oh, you're listening to Pamela. Like,
you should see me dancing to it.
Yes, I'm gonna record it for you. You see.
yeah,
Awesome.
I had one of those rare ego moments because I am always like searching my favorite mantra artists and things like that on Spotify. And I always like direct, I don't have Alexa, but I have, the Google Home. So I was like, when my album came out, I was like, hey, Google, play Pamela Aaralyn on Spotify. Because I didn't know if it really happened. I'm like, am I really on Spotify? Because I didn't know that they had put like, my songs on Spotify, that my publisher had put it on Spotify yet. And I was like, hey, Google, play Pamela Aaralyn on Pandora, because I didn't know it was there too. And I was like, oh my gosh, my music is everywhere. I'm so happy.
That's fun. So cool.
It's everywhere.
It's so weird. And now my kids do it too. They're like, play my mom on Spotify. And I'm like, oh, no. That's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
We get a bunch of jokes.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's freaking awesome, guys. You should get the album.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys next week. I gotta run for a bio break now.
Okay. Same. Bye. Love you.
Thank you.
Stay set down, be blessed.
Set now.